all we wanted to know. All I wanted to know was, what is the status of my state? What's happening? What's with the clinics in my state? I've gone to several hospitals in my state. I have a hospital that's not even a fully functioning hospital. They don't even have an ICU. So if you're a veteran that comes in, you're going to be looked at in the ER and shipped across the street to a private facility, and yet taxpayers are paying for both. I've got a large institution in Indiana I went through 2 weeks ago that had probably 2/3 beds empty, and they've never been called by the VA on this supposed nationwide check. They showed up on the list of the 122 original audits that the VA had additional questions from, and the CEO personally told me he's never heard a word. Nobody's ever checked with him. There's been no checks. Nobody's been fired. They're still harassing whistleblowers. There's been no checks. We don't know the status of our states. We can't get the answers to the questions that we started with. And I guess the question I want to ask you, but I'm almost mortified to hear your answer, is when will we know the status of our states? Mr. Miskovsky's been here before. I'm sure I've asked those questions from day one, but when are we going to hear the status of our states? And please don't tell me it's up to Counsel General, it's up to the IG, and everybody's cryptic and mysterious and anonymous.
Monday and Wednesday of next week, Congresswoman Walorski, myself and maybe one or two of my peers will be conducting 8-hour briefings here to the committees, both in the Senate, the House, and all the state delegations. We'll also be sending that data out to the field as well, so that what we provide to you, we provide to the facilities and the networks themselves.
Perfect.
So Monday and Wednesday.
Yay, because that's been a huge concern. My second question goes back to Representative Brownlee's, which is, we've sat in here on many, many hearings on IT. And in fact, I'll never forget the gentleman in charge of IT was sitting where that blank microphone is right now. And your IT, according to the hearings that we've had, has been a disaster. There's been many breaches. Our veterans have had their information co-opted and breached. And the gentleman that was in charge of IT sat there, and I said to him, do you have enough money to do what you need to do to protect our VA and to protect our veterans and to upgrade the systems that you need? Yes, ma'am. We find out during a subsequent hearing that, and in a $17 billion request, that we have allocated, long before I got here, this committee has consistently, faithfully allocated all the money the VA IT department has asked for. And then we find out a revelation in one of these hearings that they're using 1985 scheduling software. And I think that's one of the most shocking revelations I heard. So in one of the hearings just a few months ago, I said, where are the billions of dollars? Where did they go in this giant VA? They obviously weren't addressing IT. And when you come to us and ask for $17 billion, and nobody can answer the question of why we're using antiquated equipment, when every request has been funded, the IT at the VA is a disaster. What is the answer to the question of how can we possibly trust you now, even for another billion just for IT, when all that money has been unaccounted for, and the revelation under oath was, we're using 1985 software. I think that is shocking, and I think the American taxpayers deserve an answer as to where did their money go, and how can they trust you with another $17 billion or just $1 billion in IT upgrade? Either of you.
I was listening for a question there.
My question is, how can the American people trust you for more money, even $1 billion?
Be glad to come give you a laydown of the work that IT does on an annual basis, the projects that are undertaken, the systems that are both maintained and developed, and the functionality that's delivered.
So I guess, Mr. Chairman, if I could indulge just one final question. So I guess the information we heard that day from your IT, the guy in charge of IT, was incorrect. It could not have been possibly been correct information then for us to find out under a hearing where people were taking an oath that we're using 1985 outdated scheduling software when he simply sat there to me and said, we need no more money, we're compliant, we're fine, thank you very much. So the information he gave us then wasn't true, correct?
I think he gave you an honest answer. I think what you heard was the result of an organization that's managing to a budget, as opposed to an organization that's managing to requirements. I would tell you one of the things we need is a scheduling system. We've got it built into our budget for 2015 and 2016. And
with all due respect, according to your professional, it was built into the budgets for years, and we were funding it, and we were trusting that it was used for the allocation that was requested.
There was a highly reported failed development effort that occurred back years ago, where VA invested a substantial amount of money in a scheduling system, and it wasn't able to deliver. And I would tell you, in the years since that time, starting in 2010, when VA developed the Project Management Accountability System, and I would refer to you, and I'll make sure that we get you a copy of the recent GAO report, where GAO looked at 7 different major departments and the progress that their IT functions have done, particularly in agile development, which is the way we go about delivering software these days. VA was the only one of the 7 departments that passed the grade with GAO.
I appreciate it. And again, the other question I would love answered is if that guy who's in charge of your IT got a bonus. I'm curious. For the information he's provided, for the lack of adequate resources that you have, I want to know if the guy got a bonus. I just appreciate it for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
For Ms. Walorski's